Hi there, I'm Cynthia Oswald, a designer and artist living and working from my home studio in Phoenixville, Pennsylvania. I run a boutique branding agency helping clients I love bring to life their own creative hopes, goals, and ideas through branding, print, and web design. I also make time to explore my own creative projects consisting of illustrative watercolor or ink drawings of my favorite flora and fauna. Here are a couple examples of the work that I've recently done. Here's a recent branding project with a matching pattern design and a couple emblem with a logo type on the left-hand side. Here is a logo and emblem and a web design that went along with it, and a logo in its final location and at the storefront, and a pattern design that was featured as wallpaper within the store. Here's one of my personal creative projects. There's a pattern design on the left-hand side. It's a seamless pattern design. And then I also paired it with a watercolor that inspired the pattern. The location and the landscape is what actually inspired that pattern. Here are a couple other examples of how my illustrations kind of convert into a seamless pattern design. So these are such fun projects, but it definitely was not always this way. Prior to running my business, I spent 10 years working in advertising and print for other business owners, designing for all types of clients, but barely having enough money to support my basic needs, let alone time to explore my creative passions. Through one unfortunate pay cut and countless hours of doing work that didn't excite me, I finally took a leap of faith and started growing my own business. And now, after 10 years in, I've hit a stride that feels really good. I'm ready to share that process with you by helping you identify the work you're really meant to be doing in the world and leaning into that with your own creative talents and goals in mind. In this webinar, I'm going to share the exact process I used over many years to figure out which direction I should go in, what was my unique style and voice, and how I could align that with clients I really enjoy working with. Are you ready? Let's get started. Have you ever said any of the following? I can do all of the things, but what direction do I actually go in? How about this one? I love so many different subject matters, and I want to explore them all. Everyone is doing similar things. How do I know when it's my voice versus someone else's I saw on the internet? And this last, probably the best one. How do I find the clients I actually enjoy working with? If those questions are resonating with you at all, or you felt yourself thinking or saying similar things, then I want you to lean in. I have some things to share with you. I'm going to walk you through the 5 steps that I know you can use to follow and really identify your passion and use that to fuel your creative projects and your style. The first step is to identify what you're actually passionate about. The big things may come to you right away, but often there are undercurrents to what we love that we don't spend enough time naming. One for me would be collaboration. So, what is passion anyway? It comes in many forms. I pulled 2 of my favorite definitions from Webster's dictionary. The first, intense driving or overmastering feeling of conviction. The second, an object of desire or deep interest. For some, it's really easy to identify what brings you joy, what makes you feel alive, what makes your heart sing. For others, it may be a little bit more difficult to nail down, especially if it's not something you've spent any time trying to identify. So you're just going to take your time and take the pressure off. When I was getting started, I did some major soul searching and book reading. I found this title by Robert Stephen Kaplan, What You're Really Meant to Do, and I devoured it. He encourages readers to take time to reflect over moments in your life where you felt like the best version of yourself. I just love this exercise, and I spend a lot of time just kind of trying to remember those things and then dissecting them. So spending time and focusing and remembering what lights you up will ultimately attract more of what you love into your work and life. When I did this exercise, I thought about it ongoing for a month or more. I went way back to the earliest memories I had, and I would encourage you to do the same. Memories that involved creating, but also just enjoying life, because both are relevant. I came up with a list that made me feel like I needed to do something more with illustration and nature. I verbalized it to a friend at the time, something along the lines of, I want a part-time job that I can utilize my illustration abilities and that will allow me to build my business on the side. Within a week or two, she let me know about a job posted at our local organic grocery store for a visual coordinator position that was a part time doing illustration, lettering, and branding for the store. I went from managing, facilitating, scheduling to getting paid to paint watercolors like these within a few short weeks. I started attracting clients that allowed me to do more of what I love. Now, don't judge me because these projects are more than 10 years old or right around 10 years old. But I did these watercolor paintings for the store, and then they would be featured in their circular. So every month we had a theme. I would get to paint a new watercolor, and then it would just get utilized throughout all the marketing materials. And this was a farm that I did their branding for on the right hand side, and the left hand side is actually art that we used for the store. And actually, it's still on some of the trucks that market that specific grocery store. So I see it to this day. So I would encourage you to embrace every part of yourself because it will get you closer to what you're really meant to be doing and creating, and basically putting out into the world. The second step is to attach a brand to your passion. So, what we're talking about is creating passion projects. So, you're going to think about these ideas of things that mean something to you. So, once you have an idea on your subject matter, the stories and the moments that light you up, begin to outline a list of real or fake brands that you could fully flesh out to share with the world. You're going to fill out page 2 using your own passion and interest in mind, and then brainstorm a list of brand names that excite you. Here's an example of my page 2. So one of my passion projects involved creating a little kit that instructed users on how to grow and tend for a garden, dry and can their own food. The project involved branding, package design, page layout, watercolor illustration, ink drawings turned to vector, and I even created an entire pattern collection inspired by this project. Here's an example of some of the work that was born out of that project. So the key is you want to choose something that really excites you and that you can use to show off your unique talent, style, and your interests. If you enjoy pattern design, you could certainly incorporate it into your brand. If you like package design, you want to lean into that. You just want to think about the type of work that you would be most excited about doing and create the brand from that mindset. Okay, so step 3 is select a style, direction, or execution. So, what you want to do for step 3 is to list out all the mediums you are currently comfortable working with, both digital and tactile. Then you want to list out what type of work you'd like to be doing. One example for me would be package design. So, you just want to list them out here, and then you can choose the mediums that you'll use to create your brand. So, maybe it's only one. Maybe it's a blend like the Victory Garden project. Here's the list of mediums that I was using. I have a thing for making order out of chaos and having multiple layers of things in a project, but I don't think you have to do that. I think that's why I was choosing to fit all of that into one project because it's fun for me. But also, it really helped me to look at the entire project and decide which aspects were the most enjoyable. This is really helpful if you're trying to figure out where to put your focus. The key is to have fun and make it exactly what you want. That's what a passion project is for. And also, everyone's going to have a unique style and vision and interest. So whether it's simple or complex, you do you. Okay, so step 4 is time to create a schedule. List out all the steps that you will need in order to accomplish or finish the brand. You're going to set a goal for when the brand will be ready to share with the world. Consider a launch date. Give yourself margin in between deadlines. Assign dates to each step of the project and assess for margin. Add these dates to your calendar like you would for an actual paying client or an employer. Arm yourself with the tools and resources you need to continue building these projects and goals into your schedule. I've been in business for 10 years and I didn't start adding passion projects into my marketing until probably year 3 or 4. And I'm still doing it today. I'm going to share with you a recent, very recent in the last couple weeks where I just landed a new project from continuing to do this work. So you want to build this in as part of your marketing plan. Okay, so I'm going to include a calendar with key steps in the process so you have a place to start. So you can basically use what I have to fill out your own calendar. Setting a goal for achieving this passion project will help you stay connected when you're in the messy middle. Author Michael Hyatt has a number of resources for goal setting and managing your time. This is an example of his smarter goals. Specific. So you want to clearly outline the objective of your project. Measurable. Build in markers for what it means to achieve it. It should be actionable. So you want to have action verbs to define what actions you're going to take so you know what you're actually doing, what your next step is. It should be risky. Make the project outside of your comfort zone, something that would be like a little hard to do. It's not so easy. Time bound. When is this project going live? It should be exciting. Make sure this motivates and inspires you. And then relevant. Are these relevant to your passion, interests, and your life? Because if not, you're going to kind of get stuck in the messy middle and you're not going to want to keep going. And the final step is to share your work. Sharing your work is a great way to hold yourself accountable and grow your audience simultaneously. I like to share throughout the life of a project so that I can share the excitement in real time. There's also value in keeping the project to yourself and sharing it once you're finished. It allows you to schedule in advance and protect your emotions. Try both on for size with different projects. Choose which social media platforms you'll share your project on and what you plan to share loosely from the start. Also, consider sharing with your email list and how you'll feature the project on your website. This way, you can record specific aspects of your creation process and have it ready to share throughout the life of the project or towards the end. Brainstorm your content in this section of your worksheet. Okay, I want to share a little bit about my own project that I recently shared. So you can see on the left-hand side, there's this painting, and actually it's back here. This is a linen reproduction of it. It's not the original. The original is a watercolor. And I had this idea. I won't get into the whole idea, but it was inspired by my mom and some things that she was going through last year. And it kind of like checked all the boxes for things I'm interested in. I loved studying flora and fauna. I love studying culture and different areas of the world. And so I kind of pulled together this collection of work. After I finished it, I showed it in a local art show. And then I also created this soap packaging from it. And this soap packaging I shared, I guess like 2 or 3 weekends now. And within a few days, a soap company reached out to me and asked me they commissioned me to create a piece for them that's very similar. So not the same flora and fauna, but they had specific flora that they wanted. And they gave me like a list of 30 different flowers that I could choose from. And they basically said, go ahead and do whatever you want with it. So this is an awesome example of how I'm still having this work for me today. And then on top of that, it was also featured in the most recent issue of Uppercase Magazine. So it's issue 58 at the time that I'm recording this. Okay, so let's just chat a little bit about what we just talked about, and then also a little bit about failure. So the first thing you want to do is identify your passions. The next thing is you're going to attach a brand or business that you already know that you would love to work with, or that you're just exploring the idea of it. Okay. So then you want to select what mediums are going to be used. So some people are just going to use Illustrator, and that's totally fine. Somebody else might be using an iPad. Somebody else might be creating letter forms from scratch, and they're going to be sketching. You just want to kind of name everything so that you can really have a direction. So like the clearer you are, the more you're going to be ready to go when you sit down at the drawing board. And then you're going to create a schedule. You need to name all the steps in the process so that you can have specific, measurable marks to meet those deadlines. And you can chip away at it, because this shouldn't be something that you create in a day. It should be something that has impact, and that is something you've invested in, and it's clear that this type of work is what you're willing to bring to your clients. So you want to create at the level that you want to create for your future clients. And then you're going to share your work. That's your final step. Take note of what brought you joy, what worked, what didn't, then plan the next one. And use this list of your memories and feelings and try another idea using a similar process. If you're anything like me, you'll be eager to get started on the next passion project. And that feeling is palpable to the people who are watching what you're doing. Ultimately, you will track more of what you're meant to be doing just by sharing the work that you love. I want to talk a little bit about failure. I love these two examples. So I didn't realize, but Dr. Seuss was rejected 40 plus times by publishers until he randomly ran into a friend from college, I believe, and who worked in the publishing industry and decided to give him a chance. Okay, so like the connection there, and just being persistent. And then I loved how Beatrix Potter's Peter Rabbit came about because it was actually just sketches that she sent to a friend. And then later, when picture books became popular, she decided that she was going to submit them to get published. And she was rejected she just kept getting rejected. So she decided to print the first copies herself. And when they sold out, a publisher gave her a chance. If you're feeling overwhelmed from all these steps, just take one of these small ways that you can get started today. You can either make a list of the top 10 creative memories, begin a daily creative practice where you just draw whatever you feel like, because that in itself is going to help to show you what you're passionate about, what you're interested in, and what lights you up the most. And then outline a schedule for your passion projects and commit a date that you can share. Okay, so where you'll find me. You can email me at info@cynthiaoswald.com and my website, cynthiaoswald.com. Thank you. It's been a pleasure.